Amadi Shang. I have a piece of both of my parents' cultures in just my first and last name. With my dad being African and my mom being Chinese, I got to experience two completely different beautiful cultures, but nothing captured me more than the American culture and the sport of football. I always loved the physicality of the game, watching running backs like Earl Campbell, Walter Payton, Adrian Peterson, just to name a few. And now that I'm here in the US for my senior year in high school as a foreign exchange student from China, I can live out my dream and become the best bruiser back that I possibly can. Now, I was born in Africa, but I spent 98% of my life growing up in China due to my parents splitting up when I was a kid. Not for anything bad, but it just had to be done. They met while mom was on a trip to Africa. Then they had me, but at the time, Africa was no place to raise a kid, so they packed up and moved to China. But with them both being so strongly tied into their roots, my dad going from the African culture to the Chinese culture, it was way too much of a leap for him. So he went back home, and they both agreed upon it. Now, they both thought it was best that I grew up in China, that I would visit Africa from time to time to get a taste of both cultures and spend time with my dad. And that split time created a really healthy balance for my childhood. But my fascination with football, I developed that all on my own. Neither one of my parents had any interest in US sports. And I would say being fascinated is an understatement. I obsessed over the game, studying the rules, regulations, the positions. I would watch highlights for hours on end. And nothing grabbed my attention more than a running back position. I found it to be the most entertaining. And with me standing at 6'2", just under 230 pounds, I gravitated towards the bigger backs. My favorite back of all time has to be Adrian Peterson. Us being similar in size and that bounce back season he had in 2012 after the ACL tear, I watched them highlights time and time again. So I've completely modeled my game after him, run through anybody's face who gets in front of me, but the only thing I lack is that elite speed he had. And after my first official high school football game, I have sites like 247 Sports and Rivals.com having me listed as an official one-star recruit. Now, you've got to remember, I'm here because of what I've done academically, and football really isn't supposed to be my main focus, and it isn't for now. And my mom didn't want me to play because she felt it would be a distraction from my book work, and it isn't. I have academic scholarships lined up from every school across the country, but it wouldn't hurt to get a few athletic scholarships to show that I can get it done inside the classroom and on the field. Now, like I said, my mom, she ain't really with the whole football thing, but my dad, he loves it. He's even planning to come down to see a couple of my games this season, which I'm really excited for. But this isn't the first time I've had to balance basically two different worlds. Like I said, I grew up in the Chinese culture and somewhat in the African culture. It kind of prepared me for this. But even though as a school we're having success on the field and I'm still on top of my studies doing my thing in the classroom, I'm getting no support from my mom. I mean, it's one thing I got two different parents with two completely different cultures, but now with something that I've found to love, they have two different perspectives and outlooks on it. It just don't get no easier. And somewhat split up as a family, we've always been on one accord. And this is the first time with this whole football thing I've ever seen them be just at each other's necks about something that I want to do. So even though this sport brings me a certain level of happiness and joy that I couldn't find nowhere else, it's tearing my family apart, and I can't wrap my head around that. But in good news, after destroying Holbrook at home, Penn State, Michigan, and West Virginia, three schools that offer me academic scholarships, are showing interest in me as an athlete. In the state of New York, my name is starting to ring some bells. Even though there's a lot of higher ranked running backs within the state, I'm starting to go crazy, and if I keep playing at the level I am, I'll be up there with them soon. I know I have to put up big numbers to get the recognition and attention that I want, but also I got to go crazy and make my film pop, so I have to really separate myself from pretty much every other back in the country. Now, granted, I won't wow or amaze any coaches or scouts with my elite speed because I don't have any, but what I do have is superior size, and using that to my advantage is really going to separate me. I can only imagine what it would be like to be my size with elite speed, kind of like AP back in his prime, so somehow I'm going to have to develop that along the way. Another guy in today's game that I really love is Alvin Kamara. His ability to stay upright and fight through contact and just continue to move like he went untouched is crazy. I'm trying to develop that. And even though I feel like my vision is pretty well developed, it's not where it needs to be. I missed a wide open hole with somewhat of a convoy of blockers, but I didn't notice until I burst to the outside. But it worked out in the end anyway. And being shifty and elusive in and out of cuts, in and out of holes at my size will not be easy. But if I add it to my game and use it effectively, it'll definitely work out in my favor. And anywhere within 10 to 5 yards of the end zone, I'm almost a guaranteed walk-in touchdown. But yeah, everything I went over in today's game is going to be vital to my success at the next level, and I just got to master it all. The next day after the game, I checked my email. 2 new athletic scholarships from Florida and Michigan, and of course, out of Bama, Arkansas, and Auburn, I'm adding Bama to my recruiting board. 3-0 coming into this game against Jamestown, but that's to be expected. Yonkers has been one of the top schools in the athletic department for the last couple of years. And I'd be lying if I said that didn't have somewhat of an influence on my decision to come here, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But I told my mom I just want to take an unconditional route, not to go to one of the main private schools or one of the bigger schools. I wanted to go somewhere smaller that gave me more of a challenge. But in all reality, I knew if I could get on the field here, the scholarships would start rolling in, and that's exactly what's happening. Now, this is the perfect example on why I need to develop my speed. This safety took the worst angle possible. I get a step on him and then he shoestring tackles me, but the corner from the other side, he would have caught me anyway. Another reason why I probably can't develop my speed the way I need to is because I keep eating like crazy. American food is just top tier. When I moved here, I was 200 pounds even, but over the last couple of months, I've gained over 20 plus pounds, but just stuff in my face. I gotta slow it down a little bit. Now, I wouldn't say it's something to worry about just yet because I'm on the field and I'm working out pretty consistently, but things like this do get out of hand. And within our first 4 games, I am now an official 5-star recruit, the #1 ranked running back in the state of New York. Now, usually it takes a day or two for coaches to hit me up, let me know that they offer me a scholarship or that they just have interest in me. I got calls from Washington State, Washington, and Stanford that very same night of the game. The joy that develops in my heart, the smile that grows on my face, it compares to none. Every time I get a scholarship offer for my athletic ability, it feels amazing. And for someone like me with an offer from just about every school in this country that you can think of, if I had to compare the two, an athletic scholarship and an academic scholarship, the athletic takes the cake. I talked to my mom and dad separately to get their opinions on my newfound success on the field, and of course, they're on 2 different sides of the spectrum. Now, my dad, he likes it. He loves it. Everything about it. I've never heard him be so excited for anything that I've ever done in my life. And mama, of course, she doesn't care. If I told her I wanted to quit football and everything to do with it right now, she wouldn't bat an eye. She'd probably be a little happy. So as far as that goes, nothing has really changed. I just want to know what it will take for her to come around and actually support my newfound dream. And I called her recently, asked her was she flying to the US to come see one of my games. She snapped on me in Chinese, hung up the phone, and I ain't talked to her in about 3 days. Now at the time, I cannot lie, bro, it kind of hurt my feelings, but looking back at it now, it's actually kind of funny. I know she'll come around eventually. Well, hopefully. Another scholarship offer from yet another prestigious Pac-12 school, the Washington Huskies. And of course, I'm still receiving interest from Washington State, but newfound interest from West Virginia and Wake Forest. And currently, ESPN has me officially ranked as the number 47 ranked player in the country. The last 2 games of the regular season before we go into the playoffs and have a shot at the New York State High School Championship. And hold on, can we take one moment to pray for this young man, number 32? I don't know his name, but I just flatlined him, straight up bodied him on this play. And wait, can we take another brief moment to recognize one of the very few opportunities I've gotten to take back a huge touchdown run, but I don't get tripped up by a defender. I get tripped up by my teammate. Like I said before, end of the season, but looking forward to the playoffs. I gotta think now, what college do I actually want to attend and why would I want to go there? Before, there was no question. I was going to attend a university that best suit my academic needs. But now that I'm an athletic superstar, I got so many options, I don't even know what to do. There's so many options, so many variables, so many things that come into play now. I've never been so conflicted in my life about anything. Do I attend a school like Alabama that isn't known or praised for what they produce academically, but who is far superior and achieved in the football department, and they pretty much mass produce NFL talent players? Or do I attend one of the top Ivy League schools in the country like a Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, which I have a scholarship from all 3? Newfound interest from Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. I'm going to add Ohio State to the board because, I mean, it's Ohio State. Why not? But whatever decision I make, I know it's going to shock just about everybody. You got some thinking I'm going to school for academics, some thinking I'm going for my athletic career. I'm trying to do both. Why can't everybody just understand that? We win this last game this week against Watertown, and we will complete an undefeated season, going into the playoffs where the real talent is. Every single media outlet, scout, reporter, everybody, everything you can think of, they will be there to watch us play, more so to watch me ball out. Even though these last couple of months I've been under the spotlight, it feels amazing knowing that I have so much attention on me, bringing so much attention to this town, this school. I've only been here at Yonkers a short period of time, but with all the friends and relationships I developed over this past year, it's gonna kind of hurt leaving this place. Being this well known and becoming somewhat of a superstar in an entirely different country is something nobody in my family tree or bloodline has ever done. And one day, hopefully, I can fly my family out on the Chinese and African side to one of my games to watch me play at the collegiate level, or maybe even the NFL level one day if that's even possible for me. After another expected blowout win and yet another player of the game performance from myself, we hit the tunnels excited to go into the playoffs against whoever in the first round. After the game, my adrenaline had wore down, of course, but walking into the locker room, I noticed I was limping a little bit. But when I sat down, I felt a crazy sharp pain in my right knee. I missed the first playoff game waiting on the results of my MRI. I thought it was something minor. I can slap a brace on and just play through it. But when the results came back, it ended up being the worst thing possible.